Welcome, Dr. Charles, to Mujer Latina Today.
Thank you.
How was your upbringing? ¿Cómo creció usted? How was it to grow up with such a big family, but with the interest in helping the community?
Well, I think that my parents have always served as role models for us in the importance of giving back to our communities. We know that they were always involved and included us as well when they went out to volunteer. And so that was always just a part of our everyday lives. You know, my dad was really involved with the Mexican Heritage Corporation here in San Jose, and he encouraged us to also be involved. And so I think it was just part of just the way we grew up, and that it just lent itself to us wanting to be involved as well as we grew up, and were able to give more to our community. So I don't think it was something that was necessarily, told for us to do. It was just part of who we were and the culture that we grew up in, that it was really important to be involved in community and to give back.
Your father came as a migrant, came very young here. What memories do you have of him telling you about his experience working in the fields?
Well, I think that my dad is and has lived the essential, quote, American dream. Mm-hmm. He came to this country from Mexico, and he was actually raised by his aunt and his mm-hmm. uncle. Mm-hmm. His mother brought him up here, but after she remarried, she kept the two older children, and my father went to live with his aunt and uncle who didn't have any children, and his uncle was the foreman of a lot of the workers, and so they would move around from field to field in the Central Valley. And he says that his uncle always told him his job was to go to school. He had to work when he came home from school, but basically when they moved to a new location, he would go and register my dad at school, and he would say, you have to go here every day, and when you come back, then you start your work on the farm. So he really instilled in my father the sense of education as being a way to better himself and to get out of the fields and to make a better life for himself. And so I think my dad always took that, and my dad loved to learn. He was very curious, and he always was wanting to know more about things. And so, he used to tell us that, he would come home from school and he wasn't allowed to study. As soon as he came home from school, he had to start his work. And so he used to study by flashlight and whatever candles he could get to finish all of his homework after it was time to go to bed, because he wanted to always be learning. And yet he had people who questioned his abilities. He said, he would move to a new school, and at one time he had to write an essay, and he turned in the essay to the teacher, and the teacher said, you copied this, and, this isn't your writing, this isn't your essay, and basically that it was too good for somebody, quote, like him to have done. And so he made him write the essay again, or write another essay.
You have your father, you have your mother that was a nurse. Tell me a little bit of your two brothers. One is a lawyer in Washington, D.C., and another is a CEO.
My parents always wanted to make sure that all three of us were very, very different, and that they always encouraged us to do what it was that we wanted to do, and were really positive and really focusing about how three of us were different. They never compared the three of us to each other. And so it sort of allowed us to follow our own dreams and they were always very supportive of whatever it was that we wanted to do. They believed in us. They knew that we could do whatever we wanted to do. And they were always there, as a support. So if we were, having questions about what we wanted to do, we knew we could always go to them and we could ask them about, what it is, whatever the problem was, and they would help guide us into what they thought was, what was best for us. And so my older brother, Tomas, he now owns his own company, but he's always been sort of our entrepreneur. He started out doing a lot of computer work in college and started up his own businesses in graphic design, and sort of has followed a lot of the Silicon Valley sort of high-tech world. And my younger brother, Daniel, he went to UC Berkeley, and he was always sort of our free spirit and really a people person, just very charismatic, much like my dad, very full of life, and always, he always had this sense of, wanting to help the community. He had a strong sense of his Latino culture, and he's lived and traveled all over the world. And I think, he kind of got to a point at age 30 where he decided that he wanted to go to law school, and got into Santa Clara University, and still wanting to work, though, in the community. And right now he's working in Washington, D.C. for the Department of Energy, and really just trying to get, a sense of where it is that he belongs and where he wants to go in his future. So my parents have they've nurtured all three of us differently and tried to encourage us to do the best that we can do.
You are involved in Reach Out and Read.
Mm-hmm.
Could you please share with a nonprofit organization?
Sure. So Reach Out and Read is a national organization that started in 1991, and you can get information on the internet at reachoutandread.org. It basically realizes that the most important part of children being successful in school and learning to read actually happens before they ever start school. So we call it emergent literacy or early literacy, but that before kids can learn to read, they need to develop certain skills. They need to understand how books function, how stories are read, what the flow of a book is like, basically the major concepts of books. And once they get to school, if they haven't established some of those early foundations, then it's more difficult for them to learn to read and to be successful later on in school. So what a few doctors started out in Boston was they said, they brought books to their clinics, and it was in a low-income area of Boston, and the books kept disappearing, and one of the doctors said, I'm not going to bring any more books. They keep just taking them home. And then the other doctor said, well, isn't that where they're supposed to be? Maybe we should be giving them the books. And so they started out with this program of doctors giving books to kids, and we do it at each of their well child checks between 2 months and 5 years. We give a book to every child that comes in for their physical exam. It'll be 10 books over the course of those 5 years, and we talk to parents about the importance of reading to their kids, that they need to be, establishing these good early reading habits to help their kids be more successful later on in school. And when studies have shown that when doctors tell parents, that this is important, that parents actually listen, and that they do start reading more to their kids and understand that, just these early interventions can really make a difference in their child's academic career.
How your family feels about receiving this award?
Well, we're very honored that the Silicon Valley Hispanic Foundation has recognized our involvement in the community, and it is giving us this award. But we realize also that there's so many families out there that do the same things we do that are just as deserving. If we can only be a small part of that, and also maybe just continuing to encourage other families to the importance of giving to our community, then we feel honored. It's really been an amazing experience, and the recognition that we've received. And I think especially for my dad, having given so many years of service, to get some recognition back has been especially proud for us, because we've seen how hard he's worked in our community, and it's nice to get that recognition back. But we do what we do every day because we really feel that at the core, education is the way of becoming successful, and through education you can do whatever you want to do. And that's sort of our major family tenet. We're very education focused, and we really most of the volunteer activities that we participate in have some sort of education commitment, and so we really feel that that's the way for our community to get out of poverty, get out of whatever situation they may be in, that through education you can be whatever you want to be.
Thank you so much.
Oh, well, thank you very much for your interest and for calling today.